Okay, so from what I'm hearing so far, it seems like we have a couple things we need to fix. One, we need to fix the bad axes, right?
That's right.
Second, we need to fix the ugly. We need to bring viable leadership development for all leaders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that just leads right into the next question of, how can we fix the bad? How do we fix the ugly? And to relate it to sabermetrics, how do we move to a more perfect understanding of business leadership? And how do we move from those static boxes that were mentioned earlier to launch boxes?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I have an image. I'm a very visual person, and so I'm thinking of a present. I get a box, and so it can even be a beautiful package, and it's like, wow, I'm going to have something good in here. And then I open it up, and I find something that is interesting, but it's not really what I want, and it's not really something that I can use. And then I have another box, and this box is full of rich matrices and frameworks that provide just so much more value for me in assessing leaders and developing them. And so it's a model that has several different axes in it and several different matrices. So it has a set of what I would call dual axes. One would be think to drive, which is identifying by the various roles what behaviors do I need to develop. And at the same time, that information is shown in a way where it helps me understand what is it that I need to do to get better business results. So putting these two matrix into a framework that brings together this information, that's a lot in the box. That's a lot in the box. But then also the box can have connectors to tools that fit with what I need to develop. So in this box, I'm closer to launch. I'm closer to action because I am looking at what I need to do. And there's an article we'll talk about maybe, and it's on succession planning of the future, and it's going to be in your chat box. But it talks about the importance, particularly now as things are changing, that a lot of attention needs to be given to the what. There needs to be clarity on that, and there needs to be substance so people can figure out where they stand in relationship to that, not where they stand in relationship to other people. And that gets them on a track to move and launch and do something. So that's where I stand on moving from part of the bad, which is really an oversimplistic tool that in some cases is actually operating on flawed information and flawed notions. So time to don't do that box. Get away from that one. Get to a new box, open it, and use it differently.
Well, and I like I like this new way that you've introduced to us on the call today, and not necessarily thinking about it as a launch box, but a gift, a gift full of information that's valuable to any leader that you're really speaking to. And I think that is one of the ways we address the question that Rob posed to us, which is how can we fix the bad and how can we fix the ugly, with the bad part of succession planning being these kooky axes points that we've used in the past. And I'm really happy that you shouted out this article called The New Rules of Succession Planning, because it was a significant one to me. And I want to just read, for everybody on the line today, this is kind of what it looks like. And I want to read a piece that really popped for me and take it into, I think, some of the stuff that really should be in this box. This author writes, this was written by David Reamer and Adam Bryant. They write, the problem with identifying top candidates often lies in how a short list is generated. Traditionally, the focus is on who the leader is, without significant weight put on what skills he or she needs to deliver on the company's strategy. If succession discussions are to be transformed into more of an upstream process for the board, and members are to have a clear understanding of what the company needs before discussing the best candidates, then the process must account for three distinct, entirely predictable challenges. And when you take a look at their writing on what those challenges are, it really goes to, I think, what we can speak to in terms of what those new axes points really are, and what feedback and data about what would be in your box that's a gift. And it's a feedback and data on how you as a leader think to drive for your level of leadership. In addition, it is how you build and sustain, how you build your department or your territory or your function for the future, and sustain and protect what is accomplished that's far. That is exactly how you're going to fix the bad. And then real quickly, with the question that you posed to us, Rob, around how can we fix the bad and the ugly part of succession planning, we fix the ugly, which is really about the fact that succession planning has replaced viable learning, viable leadership development. We have to bring viable leadership development back for our team leaders. We have to bring viable leadership development back for our service leaders. We have to bring viable leadership development to our organizations for our sales leaders. And it's not that hard when you understand the better stuff inside the gift box, which is, how does this leader think and drive? How does this leader build and sustain? And once you fill it with that type of stuff, this magical stuff in this box that Jeannie was talking about, you can do three things, right? You can then, number one, which is what every single leader wants, right? Because they don't want to go where leadership, a great leadership, goes to die. They want the gift. They want to know how to launch. And once you fill this with think to drive and build to sustain feedback appropriate for their level, you can do three things. You can guide them through expectations, guiding them through expectations for what good really looks like for their level of leadership. Number two, you can back them. You can back them with feedback on think to drive and build to sustain for their specific role. And you can back them with tools that will help them be better, go faster in relationship to that think to drive and build to sustain. And number three, you can support them through a continuous learning loop of feedback, so that every time they open that new gift box that helps them launch, they're actually able to get better and better and better. So how do we fix the ugly part of the good, the bad, and the ugly of succession planning? We actually bring viable leadership development back to all the leaders that really need it. And those are our team leaders, our sales leaders, and our service leaders.